Hey everyone, Egman here with another video. And today we're going to talk about the Prank Kids archetype in Master Duel. This is kind of my first Master Duel archetype, or kind of just more modern Yu-Gi-Oh! I knew kind of how heroes worked, and that's why I made it my first video, because I felt like I was pretty knowledgeable about how they worked in general. But this is something that was new, so I played this deck for about a week. I kept kind of building and taking with it. So I got to a spot that I liked, and I feel like I'm kind of confident with how the plays work and everything else. So this video is going to be pretty similar to how my last one was. We're going to talk about the staples for the archetype. We're going to show an example deck, and then at the end we're going to do kind of an example duel, do some combos, and kind of go from there. So starting off, the Prank Kids archetype is way more budget friendly than the Heroes one, and I think this is something that is maybe a good first deck for someone trying to get into the game, especially something with modern Yu-Gi-Oh!, especially since there is kind of a lot of like the combo play and kind of like recursion and stuff, but it's pretty simplistic compared to kind of what I've seen for everything else. More or less the gimmick for this archetype is that whenever you do a link or fusion summon of a Prank Kids cards with a Prank Kids kind of main deck monster, you get to play a copy of one of the other ones from your deck or hand. And so doing that lets you just kind of do some link climbing, let you do some recursion, just gain a lot of hand advantage, even though these aren't like fantastic main deck monsters, but just the hand advantage themselves is pretty good. So this is pretty much the staples for the archetype, and really only one ultra rare for the main kind of deck is the Battle Butler. But all of these main deck Prank Kids pretty much do the same thing. As I kind of explained, they have some sort of effect when they do their link or fusion summoning, and then they're able to play special summon one Prank Kids except for a copy of itself from your deck or hand in defense position. That's kind of nice. So Fancies is the Thunder one, level 1, that lets you pitch a card from your graveyard or from your deck into your graveyard, and then you get to play a card. Dropsies lets you just gain 1,000 life points. We have Lampsies, which deals 500 damage, and then Roxy's, which is probably the best one, though it doesn't have like any synergy, it doesn't have as much synergy as anything else, but just the fact that you're able to banish a card from your hand and then draw one. So there is some reasoning why this is good, and there are some kind of good combo plays with it which are kind of nice, and so that's kind of like the idea of it. And so the links that you really want to do, we've got Meow Meow Mew. So it's just one level 4 lower Prank Kids monster. You can only summon one of these or link summon once per turn. And then if Prank Kid monster is you control would be tributed. So if on your opponent's turn, you can banish this card instead. And you can only use this effect for one. But the biggest thing about this is that it's a Prank Kids for 1, which means that you can, it's a link 1, which is great for what you're doing. You can just pretty much do normal summon of Prank Kids, then do the link summon into one of these, and then you can get another link, Prank Kids out from deck for free, which means you have your your link 2s. So you've got Doodoo Doodle Doo, which is just 2 Prank Kids monsters, which includes like the Link monster. And then when it's Link Summon, you can add a Prank Kids spell or trap from your deck to your hand. And then you can also tribute this card to target 2 Prank Kids cards with different names in your graveyard and add them to your hand, which also includes spells and other copies of Link monsters and stuff. So something you could maybe do, for example, is let's say you do Fancies, you can Fancies into something. Let's say there's a spell you needed on top of it. Let's say you want like both the place and the pranks. Then you're able to kind of get your dual do to find that if you tribute it, and maybe like the Fancies back to your hand. So there's kind of plays with that and everything else. We do have Bow Bark as well. So also linked to a Prank Kid monster this points to gains 1,000 attack, and then during your opponent's turn, you contribute this to target 2 Prank Kids cards with different names, and except for Link monsters, add them to your hand. Also, Prank Kids monsters you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's cards for the turn. So being kind of reactive is kind of nice. Make sure that your Prank Kids can't get destroyed, getting the cards back to your hand, and everything else. So those are kind of the links that I think are important. There is an ultra rare link that the deck has, but I don't think it's very important for what you're doing. I feel like it's kind of expensive for what it does too. If it was a link 3, it'd be great, but it's a link 4, but we'll kind of talk about it later. And then we also have the fusions. So we do have a kind of a Prank Kids specific fusion spell. So Prank Kids Pandemonium. During the main phase, fusion summon 1 Prank Kid fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters in your hand and field as materials. For the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you cannot normal or special summon monsters except for Prank Kids. So it is a quick play spell, which is fantastic, but It is not during it's only during the main phase, so you can't do it during the battle phase. Also, it does lock you out of non-prank kids cards for the turn, so it is fine for the archetype if you want. I think it's the one you still run, but it does not. It's not all benefits. Is probably what I'm trying to say. But just being able to do that fusion summon is good. So we do have two generic ones. We have Rocket Ride, which is two prank kids monsters. If this is fusion summoned, you can have it lose 1,000 attack to attack directly. You can also tribute this card on your turn to target two prank kids, non-fusion monsters with different names in your graveyard to special summon them, which includes the links, which is kind of nice. And then you can only use each effect to prank kids Rocket Ride once per turn. And they also can't attack. And then also we do have a Weather Washer. So same thing too. And then if your prank kids monsters attack, your opponent can activate cards or effects until the end of their damage step. And then during your opponent's turn, you can pop it to tribute to get two prank kids with different names and special summon them. They can't be destroyed by battle for the turn. And also if you use that, you can only use this once per turn. So kind of you'll see that the idea is you can go into kind of these big links and fusions, and then you can pop them to get your prank kids back out, and then they kind of have some protection, which is really nice, and just kind of get some free advantage back from after using the card. So that's more or less what the archetype revolves around and kind of the gameplay in general. So that's something we have the last fusion, kind of the boss. So Battle Butler, specifically it's Lampsies, Dropsies, and Fansies, so the red, green, and blue one. Must be fusion summon, and in quick effect, you can tribute this card to destroy all monsters your opponent controls. So it's non-target destruction, which is nice. And if this card in your possession is sent to your graveyard by your opponent's card skills, you can target one non-fusion monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and you can only use each effect once per turn. So being able to do that is great. And the biggest thing is that you can use this effect with Meow Meow. So if you can kind of do like kind of a Zeus-like effect where you try to pop the field, and then if they try to interact with you, you can activate the effect again, which is nice. And kind of go from there. So it's a really good effect. Being able to do a board clear is good. And kind of the way you want to set it up is you want to have, you can just Pandemonium on their turn using, with the quick play effect, get the board on the field. And then also you'll be able to do a fusion summon on your opponent's turn. So you can do 3 more prank kids on the board as well. And you can do some kind of extension play. So that's kind of the idea of the deck, and kind of go through it from there. And so these are the staple cards. So let's jump into the example list that I've been talking about. So here's my example list that I've been running on ladder. I'm still at platinum with it, so I think it can kind of contend with decks that are there right now. It can definitely climb you up to platinum if you want to. But yeah, honestly, the fact that this deck has kind of just such a small engine and is so flexible and consistent with what it has means you have a lot of options to put a lot of like specific negates or kind of hate cards such as Maxi, Ash Blossom, Nibiru, and pretty much you kind of need to run as many Called by the Graves and Cross-Out Designators as you can, just because we're based on having a normal summon, and if our normal summon gets hit, we do kind of run out of steam sometimes. So that's something that's really important for you. So I would recommend those ones first, and then kind of go from there. But in general, it's very flexible for what kind of text you kind of want to choose. And because of that too, there's a lot of kind of typing coincidences that happens with having a deck that has like all of these guys in general. So we take advantage of that with some Thunder Dragon cards. And also we see a Totally Awesome there as well, since these Dropsies just happen to be level 2 Aqua cards. So you can go into 2 of them into a Totally Awesome, which is kind of nice. But specifically too, before we talk more, this video was made during the first couple weeks of the game being out, which means we're still on the OCG ban list, which means that could change literally at any time. So be cautious about that. If Colossus isn't legal in the game anymore, you definitely don't run the Thunder Dragons. But the fact that you can just pitch a Thunder Dragon, get your extra ones, and then these Fansies can turn into a Colossus for free is fantastic. Especially since this card is so searchable. If you have any prank kids, you can turn it into Colossus for no loss value, which is insane in a deck like this. So that's why we do that. We also do have Thunder Dragon Fusion. This is good for not only just recurring your stuff, but this Battle Butler is a Thunder card. So the fact that you can just use Thunder Dragon Fusion to go into this guy is amazing, especially since you can do Verte Anaconda to find it, and then the next turn you can use its graveyard effect to get a Thunder Dragon from deck to hand, pitch the Thunder Dragon, have the effect go off, and then you can once again go into Colossus the next turn. So very flexible for that, and I think it's a very fantastic card for a weird card to go into this archetype, but it's just very good for that. other than that, we kind of have the ratios we have. Access Code is definitely a good finisher for the deck since we're so good at going to our link plays. The only thing I want to say is that for all of these cards, just be careful about running the Pandemonium, just because you can't run Pandemonium and keep it your turn, kind of, or keep it you can't play other non-Prank Kids cards, so it does lock you out of that, so just be careful. But I don't think that's a huge deal, and a lot of the Pandemonium plays are on your opponent's turn anyways. But if you're trying to go into something big or like a fusion to get more cards in the field, that's something you have to be cautious about. But this is kind of the list in general. Some additional cards too, if you're trying to fill some spots or you're not doing it, or if you just if you're not running Thunder Dragon because Colossus is banned or something. I think this deck can run Pot of Desires. You run enough of the cards you're running that Pot just makes sense for it. You just get a lot of cycle, and banishing 10 isn't too big since we have so many targets for it. We also have the Link, and I think this card's okay. If you pull it, you can definitely run it as a one of, but I definitely wouldn't run it more than that. This is kind of like the Battle Butler, but it's a kind of a Harpy's Feather Duster instead of a Raigeki. And the only thing about that too is that making a Link 4 is a little expensive for this deck in particular, so having to do that is quite hard, especially since there's not a Link 3 that we can really go into and keep all our advantage for it. So I'd be cautious about that, but other than that, I think it's fine of a card, and there are ways to go into it on your plays, but it is a little bit tricky. Instant Fusion is pretty good for what we have. Just pay 1,000, you can summon a level 5 fusion monster from your extra deck, which means that you can play either copies of the Rocket Ride or Weather Washer. And just being able to do that. Honestly, you just do the Rocket Ride, because that one can pop itself on your turn, and then you get your 2 cards for free, which means you can go into bigger Link plays and stuff. And I'd say that one's worth it. Monster Reborn, just an actual Monster Reborn. This is like a double Monster Reborn if used correctly. And there's that. Regular Polymerization, if you want to have more targets to do our fusions, if you have more fusions in here. This deck, I think, is running has less room in the extra deck just because we have both Totally Awesome and the Verte and the Thunder Dragon. So, but if you're running one without that stuff, I think Poly is a good budget option. And then Skill Drain, just because all these effects activate in the graveyard, so we can kind of get around a lot of other effects, and we can still build a board and put some pressure without doing that. Especially since both the Link monster and the Battle Butler both tribute themselves to activate their effects, so they get around Skill Drain, which is kind of nice. So if you want to have something more oppressive like that, I think there is a Skill Drain variant. I don't think this is a deck like the one that I have right now. I don't think it's something you just pop Skill Drain into, but I think it can be built around it, especially since it's at 3 right now, and I think it goes down to 1 in TCG, but I don't specifically know. I think it's 1 in TCG right now. But here is my example list, and let's go to an example battle to kind of talk about some of the combos for the list. So we're going to do a quick example battle against the CPU just so we can kind of show off some of the combos. And something that's nice is once you beat a scenario in this game, it lets you choose if you're going first or second. So we can just hit going first. That's kind of what you want to do as this deck, and just kind of set up your plays for your opponent's turn. So let's see what kind of hand we get. Hand is okay, not broken, but not bad. Let's go into our Lampseas, but actually, yeah, I think Lampseas is the play. We're going to just hardcast our Lampseas. If they had Ash, we could do Call by the Grave, which is nice. And we'll just kind of start our Link plays. We'll go into our Meow Meow Mew by getting rid of that and going into our Lampseas. So there we go. And we're going to activate the Lampseas here. Special summon a monster to the field. Yes, we will special summon. Let's just say our Fansies. And Prank Kids just lets you discard a Prank Kids for a token. That could be pretty good. Let's actually do that. So we will do Pranks right here, and we're actually activating our place as well. And that just lets us search for. Let's just get a Roxy's, I guess. From here, I think we want to go with a Pranks. I think we can go into an Anaconda for the turn, which seems kind of good. Yeah, I think that's what we want to do. Let's plan on doing that. So let's do Pranks, discarding the Roxy's. And go there. We'll then go into Doodle Do with our token and our fansies. And we will activate the effect of our fansies first and then our Doodle Do. So this would probably want to get our Pandemonium. Yeah, we'll get add deck to hand, and then after that we'll be doing our fansies, and we will send our prank kit. Let's see, yeah, our plan from there. And just to make sure, we have gone through the fire and the thunder, so let's do the dropsies. The dropsies is next. All right, after that, we'll go into our yeah, I believe we want to go into our Bow Wow. Yeah, we do want to do that. So we're going into our Bow Wow here. Bam, using that with the dropsies. Chain another effect. No. We'll special summon a Roxy's. There we go. And then we'll use this to go into our Verte Anaconda. We'll then use this to go into our, and we'll use this to fusion summon our Battle Butler. Returning all four of those, or oh, sorry, all three of those. And we will activate that just to give everything the boost it needs. And how many prank kit stuff do we have in our drop? We have 3 things to return, which is nice. So we'll just return, we'll set this here, we'll set our Call by the Grave, and I think that is pretty good. So this is a nice board, being able to get into the Battle Butler and being able to kind of have the effects from there. I think we're in a good spot. So we're just going to end our turn. We have our Prank Kid Pranks activate, so yeah, we'll just do that. We'll get rid of 3 cards and drop, so we can get rid of the Dual Do, the Roxy's, and probably another Roxy's. Yeah, 2 prank kids with different names in our graveyard. So yeah, we can't add anything back with that anyway. So yeah, we'll just do that. We can get our card draw. Ooh, and we got a Thunder Dragon, which means that we have some plays starting next turn. All right, yeah, we're fine. All right, end of turn, we will activate our Battle Butler. Yes, and we use Mew Mew. There we go. And about to end their turn, activate the effective card. No, we're fine. All right, cool. We got a Dropsies, which is nice. We will go into, what do we have there? A Thunder Dragon Fusion could be activated, but we have one already. So we're going to use the Thunder Dragon Fusion there. Get another Thunder Dragon and another one. We'll normal summon our Dropsies. Yeah. We unfortunately would have to... that's actually fine. We have to go past our Mew Mew because we don't have the zones for it, but we'll go into our Bow Wow. We'll activate the Dropsies first, and then the Doodle Do. No, we're fine. So Dual Do will let us get It's another Pandemonium. Dropsies will get us a Fansies. And then we can just go straight from Fansies into our Colossus. Right there. We're able to go from there into our access code talker. And just kind of beat up the board from there. Use this effect to pop their back row. Birch has already done its thing. And anything else we'd really want to do? I mean, we can keep going if we want. We can do Prank Kids Pranks to discard another one to be able to get our... Yeah, wait, no, let's just keep going. So we just have some extenders. So let's say they have some interaction with that. We can get rid of the pranks. We can play a token. Token can go into Mew Mew. And then I guess that's the end of the plays. But that is kind of just the idea. We just have a lot of kind of link materials to kind of do our plays, and then we can have some interruption as well. We weren't able to show it, but with this match specifically, but if we were able to get two Fansies out, we'd be able to get a totally awesome out, for example. But honestly, getting the Thunder Dragon Colossus helps out a lot with what we're doing. But this is honestly just a really fun kind of deck to go first and just explore what your combos are in different hands. Which, once again, I really do like this kind of solo mode. Just being able to play against a CPU that, you get some rewards if you haven't done that already, but lets you practice your combos. And yeah, I think this is definitely a kind of mix and match kind of combo deck and lets you do a lot of different things. So that's going to be it for me. I hope you guys got something from this video and everything else. If you have any questions for how the deck works or anything else, please let me know in the comments and let me know what kind of deck you want me to do next. I think Sky Strikers is next on the docket, but if there's any others besides that, let me know. Hopefully they're more budget friendly because I am starting to run out of the gems and stuff. I'm going to have to be more creative with some of these going forward, but I do enjoy doing these and I hope to do more. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it. Damn it.